All right, so we are live here. So today I want to talk a little bit about the lunar revival plan as proposed by Kwon and how he plans to revamp the lunar token. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the government budget 2022, some of the things that they have proposed, and see whether or not it's going to help people or not. So let me first start with going through the lunar situation. So last time we checked, Luna has pretty much crashed and burned. So if we take a look at the chart for Luna at the moment, so as we can see, Luna had a high even just a couple of literally just over a month ago. So they had a high of around $110. And it's been steadily dropping, and then within the past week or so, it's just crashed and burned. So currently, Luna is trading at 0.0001. It's basically a meme coin amount at the moment. So basically, Luna is pretty dead at the moment. So if we look at UST, which is supposed to be pegged to the dollar, and basically it's down to 0.08 dollars, which is about 8 cents. So for something that's supposed to be pegged to a dollar, it's worth pretty much nothing. So let's take a look at the proposed plan that's proposed by Kwon. And he proposed that a couple of days ago, and now it's brought into voting for the stake owners for Terra. So what is his proposal? So this is supposed to be updated, and it's supposed to be one of the final proposals. So what's going to happen is, so the main thing is, while Luna UST has been a central narrative of Terra's growth, and it says that the UST peg failure is an attack on Terra itself. So they're saying that it's Terra's DAO hack moment. Now, you could say that, but you could also say that these algorithmic stablecoins has never been proven to work. So, in summary, they wanted to create a new Terra chain without the algorithmic stablecoin, which is kind of interesting because I thought the point of the entire Terra ecosystem was to have a stablecoin, and it's backed by the corresponding sister coin Luna. So they're gonna scrap that completely now. So they're gonna have the old chain be called Terra Classic. So they say it's almost like they want to spin it as almost like Ethereum Classic, when Ethereum broke from the old Ethereum. So the current Ethereum is the new Ethereum, whereas the old Ethereum is Ethereum Classic. And they're pretty much trying to do the same thing here with the new chain to be called Terra, and with the token Luna. So basically, they're trying to do exactly the same thing as what they did, what the other guys did with Ethereum. So Luna was to be airdropped to Luna Classic stakers, the people that had Luna before this whole shenanigan went down. And they're going to distribute these tokens according to like different percentages. So they want to keep the app developers on the platform, but one of the main things is that there is limited incentive for a lot of these app developers to stay on this particular platform, because while the platform was still making money, like it's quite easy to get people onto this platform when it's still making money. But it's a lot harder to get them to still make apps if people don't trust this particular blockchain ecosystem. So what are the token distributions? So initially, when this document first came out, they wanted to distribute 1 billion tokens amongst the community. So for the community pool is going to take 25% of the tokens controlled by state governance. And the pre-attack, so now they're basically calling it the whole thing that happened an attack. So pre-attack Luna holders are going to get 35%. And for wallets that hold more than 1 million Luna, they have a 1-year cliff and 2-year vesting after. So a cliff basically means that you need to hold on to this new scheme for at least 1 year, and then after that year, you would end up having these tokens, but then your tokens will be locked in for another 2 years after. So essentially, you are locking in all the tokens that you receive for at least 3 years. And that is if you have less than 1 million Luna tokens. So for wallets with more than 1 million, there's also a 1-year cliff and 4 years of vesting, 4 years after that you need to be locked in. So basically you're being locked in for 5 years. And that is a very, very long time to be locked into the system. The pre-attack UST holders will get 10% of these tokens. The whales cover up to 99%. So, okay. So it says here that 15% will be unlocked when they get distributed these UST, the UST holders. 15% will be unlocked, and 85% of the value that they hold will be vested over 2 years after a 6-month cliff. So the same thing also applies. So after 6 months, you actually get the 85% of the tokens, but then you have to hold for another 2 years after. So again, that is a very, very long time. Post-attack Luna holders will get the other 10%. So same thing, 15% unlock at the start, 85% locked in for 2 years, but then you have to hold it for at least 6 months. Same thing with the UST holders, 20%, last 20%, 15% unlocked. So what they are wanting to do is to make sure that people do not sell off these tokens that they get airdropped, so that they're trying to make sure that these tokens still hold the value. Now, this doesn't actually make a lot of sense because you can't create these artificial amount of value just by forcing people to hold on to something that they probably don't want to hold on at this stage anyway. So this is a very interesting and kind of weird revival plan that's proposed by Kwon. So all of the rest is just technical details, and of course people have been very skeptical of this particular revival plan. So I've seen tons of posts online saying that this simply isn't going to work. Tons of these. Nobody wants a fork. Just burn the current Luna and fix the current algorithm and try to get the peg back. I can safely say that I do not think that Luna and UST Classic, the pre-existing one, is ever going to come back. So in order for it to come back, so some people propose that what if, Luna goes back to $1? If Luna goes to $1, if you only invest $100 in Luna, if it goes to $1 from the price it's at right now, you'll be a millionaire for sure. So it's like having the Shiba Inu doggy coin going to $1. It's not going to happen. It is simply not going to happen. So what does CZ say about this? Famous tweet by CZ now. SMH. Shake my head. So CZ is obviously the CEO of Binance. It's interesting because Binance does have some vested interest in this whole situation, because Binance is an investor of the Luna tokens as well. So when it affects Luna, it affects Binance as well. Now, let's see how the voting is currently going at the moment. I haven't really checked for a little while. So, what is the votes? So as it currently stands, 75% has voted yes to the new proposal, and 14% abstained, 6% no, 3% no with veto. So as it currently stands, the majority actually voted for yes to the new revival proposal, even though from all accounts, all of the online comments and general sentiment has been that this is not a very good solution for Luna itself. So most of the voting power, especially the yes ones, comes from the validators, the ones that actually hold a large amount of the tokens. So they have a disproportionately large voting power. So I guess this is one of the problems that I find with the entire system of this proof of stake and this voting system. So it basically means that whoever owns the most amount of these tokens have the highest voting power. Basically, it's like saying that the rich gets more voting power compared to the poor, because most people won't have that many tokens and therefore don't have as much voting power compared to the ones that hold a lot of these tokens. So I think this is one of the fundamental flaws of voting using this particular system. Like, while it's very good to say that, okay, yes, voting is very good for, everyone gets a say, even though if you don't have a lot of tokens, what actually ends up happening is that the ones that are the richest will end up having the most amount of say. And that's definitely one of the big problems of this particular system. So another really important question is that when the USD and Luna is going down, now it is said that the Luna Foundation God has more than 80,000 bitcoins to use as reserve. Now, what exactly happened to those 80,000 bitcoin that was being used as reserve and is supposed to protect UST against the depeg? So, Luna Foundation God has released a series of tweets saying what has actually happened to all those reserve funds that they've been holding. So they start by saying that they started off with about 80,000 bitcoins, and over the time they said that they sold a whole bunch of USTs. So they said that they sold 33,000 UST here in an effort to prop up they sold 33,000 Bitcoin in an effort to prop up the UST. So basically, after selling that and the coin still tanked, they're basically saying that, all right, we've done everything that we could. It didn't accomplish much of anything, and basically nothing else can be done. So as of now, they're basically saying that they use up pretty much all of their Bitcoin reserve, selling them and trying to prop up the UST coin. And they currently have 331 Bitcoins left. So basically they sold away like billions of dollars of worth of Bitcoin, and it did absolutely nothing. So this is the same thing come back to always the same. Like, algorithmic stablecoin simply does not work, and you simply cannot trust the system to be able to maintain its pegging to something that's completely backed by thin air. And so this should be a lesson to a lot of people that, you have to be very careful, and this will make people think twice or even more times to ever invest in these kind of algorithmic stablecoins. So basically, the revival plan revolves around switching over the old Luna into Luna Classic, and basically completely creating a whole new system. And who knows what's really going to happen, but chances are it's probably not going to work, because a lot of these blockchain-based technology are really built on the trust and beliefs of the people in the entire ecosystem. And once you lose that trust, it is extremely hard to get people to invest in the same thing again. Now, what a lot of crypto scammers tend to do is they literally just wrap up a project and just completely go away, and they hide out for a couple of years and then come back with a brand new project, doing pretty much exactly the same thing, but just changing the name into a different name. So in this situation, he hasn't given up on the Luna project just of yet. We don't know what's going to happen, but just of yet. So that's something that's we just have to wait and see. Now, the other thing that we're going to talk about today is the budget. So, as some of you may or may not know, there was a budget announcement from the New Zealand government today. So it's termed as Budget 2022. And the government has revealed how it will divide up a lot of the different funding. So I don't know how many people are still here, or have a couple of people here. So mostly I wanted to do a live stream because I want to be able to discuss a lot of these things with everyone, and see if you have any comments, any questions. Just throw out some comments, questions, and I'll try to answer them or help them as much as I can. Cool. So one of the main things that the government budget 2022 has revealed, a couple of main things here, including costs of living relief is on the way for low and middle income New Zealanders. So the government will be distributing a living cost relief package for low and middle income New Zealanders. So what's considered as low and middle income? Okay, so it's going to Kiwis that earn less than $70,000 in the previous tax year, then are not eligible for the winter energy payment. Now, overall, they will be receiving 3 months worth of the living cost relief, and total amount would be $350. Now, $350, I wouldn't say that that's a huge amount, but I mean, honestly, any little bit helps as it currently stands. So the scheme will go through from the 1st of August, and it's around $27 per week. And the IRD is, it says that the IRD is in the process of setting that up, and it will cost around $814 million. So that's one of the things that would hopefully help out some of the living costs of everyone out there, because I can definitely realize that a lot of the food and everything is becoming a lot more expensive. Like just in the supermarket, as you go around, you could really tell that things are increasing in price, especially dairy products. And if you just look at the prices of milk, cheese, and all that, compared to even just a couple months ago, you can really tell the difference. Cool. The next thing is that and this is the majority of this new budget, is that Health New Zealand and the health authority bodies have been given 11 billion over 4 years. Now, 11 billion is like the main crux of this new budget. So $11 billion over 4 years. So it's supposed to help set up new district health boards and help fund the new district health board systems. So as it currently stands, because we had the COVID situation, and it has exposed the fact that a lot of the New Zealand health providers simply doesn't have enough funding to be able to deal with a giant influx of patients. And I have to say, this is very, very welcome to have, but it just feels like this is a response like completely after the fact. Now, to be fair, that's how what most responses are like. They tend to respond after something has already happened. It usually works like this. People buy earthquake insurance after they've been like completely destroyed by an earthquake. And the way that earthquakes work is that after you get a very severe earthquake, you get some aftershocks, and that let's just say after the little aftershocks, after you get a severe earthquake, all of the energy inside the crusts have been released. So chances are extremely unlikely that you'll get a very severe earthquake right after you have an earthquake. But that is the time that people, start preparing for the next big earthquake, is right after they've been hit by the previous big earthquake. And that's exactly a time where people rush in to buy earthquake insurance right after the big earthquake, where the chances of things being destroyed by a big earthquake is at the lowest. So again, this is something that seems to be happening after the fact of everything that's been going on over the past couple of years. So all the others are just little details of where the budget will go, but again, majority is going into the health budget. There's a couple of other little things here as well. So there's some fundings for mental health. There's increase to first home buyer grant caps. This might be useful for some as well. So for a first home buyer, basically it's an increase in the cap depending on the region that you are in. So if you're in the Auckland region, for first home product, you get a pretty significant increase in the cap, and for most of the other regions as well. So this is definitely something that's pretty welcoming. Now, a lot of the money that the government gets from all of this is they're siphoning money from the relief fund that they were using for the COVID relief. So, I mean, look, there's a lot more details that needs to be sorted out, of course, with where all of the funding is coming from. And that could take quite a while to digest. Cool. And the next immediate thing is that the government is looking at keeping the tax cuts for the fuel prices. So where do I have that somewhere? So basically the 25 cents fuel tax cut will remain, and they are thinking of extending the half price on the transportation for public transport. They're gonna keep the half price for the public transport. So one of the good things that came out of the fuel price increase is that public transport have been a lot cheaper compared to before, because they've been subsidized by the government. and that is a very, very good thing. Now, I know depending on where you live, public transport may not be the easiest way to get around, but public transport is definitely necessary, and it just needs to be more used by more people so that people can keep on using more public transport instead of driving around. So half price public transport is going to be kept for another couple of months, and after that the government is looking at providing cheaper public transport for a longer period of time. So, and the last thing that they announce is a emissions reduction plan. So basically they are looking to have more low emission vehicles to be subsidized. So just to encourage people to replace their vehicles with more low emission vehicles. Again, this is something that's probably necessary over the long term, but honestly, when I was driving around, there's still plenty of utes, SUVs, and all of that. Now, there's definitely been a significant increase in the amount of electric vehicles around, but I think it still needs quite a long time before we can completely switch to using electric vehicles. Now, one of the things that may really encourage the switching to electric vehicles is the petrol price. So petrol prices always simply going to keep on going up, and that's just going to happen over time. And using electric vehicles is definitely the cheaper option over the long term. So while Europe has plans to phase out petrol vehicles within like the next 30 years or so, the government here is working on kind of a similar idea. I don't know if it would actually get to that, but a scheme, now they said that a scheme in California saw 10,000 people replace their old fossil fuel vehicles and replace them with lower emission vehicles. So if there's enough incentive, I'm sure people would end up getting more electric vehicles. So basically that's the summary for the state of Terra, Luna coins, and the proposed plan for them. Terra Luna is not coming back, that is for sure. I myself are a Terra Luna holder, and I've pretty much concluded that is completely gone, that's lost, it's not coming back. So, and that's the budget update for today. Now, if anyone have any questions, you can leave me a question in the comment. I'll try to answer anything. But that's about it for this quick live stream, and I will catch you guys all next time.